Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Bill Allen, sitting in for Winston Chester. We got a great show lined up for you today with special guests. Start off with, today is September the 11th. We'll talk about that a little more in a few minutes, but let's start with the weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center. Hot. Today the high is going to be 90. It's a very humid day with only a low of 75, partly because the wind is out of the south at 10 to 15. We've lost that little bit of north wind, that teaser we had coming in with some of these cooler mornings. And also talk about sunset is at 6:53, so the time is slowly starting to change. It's getting darker a little bit sooner. You need to adjust your fishing accordingly. High tide today is at 8:55, 8 a.m. and the low tide at 6:54. The water temp is still at 86 for an average in the bay. Not a whole lot of tide moving. We've got a 91% moon. The full moon is on the 13th, so that always has a little bit of an effect on the tides and fishing times. Let's look at the river readings. The Apalachicola at Bluntstown is 2.7 and continuing on a slow fall going till Saturday. Choctawhatchee at Caryville is 1.1 and steady. You can almost see under the river over there. Be careful running around. A lot of things sticking up when the water's this low. So we're going to go ahead and take a break right now and come back with our special guest. Hey, good morning and welcome back. I am joined, as I am often, by Greg Brudnicki, our mayor, my good friend and fishing partner. And before we get into the rest of the show, I think that we all need to remember, and I'm sure you do, that today is 9/11 and the tragedy that occurred in New York. And so wherever you are today, whether it's this morning or sometime, take a few moments, say a special prayer for the people and the firefighters and the people who lost their lives, and like I said, never forget. And to that end, the city has something today.
Yeah, we have a ceremony. The Sea Cadets from North Bay Haven will be at City Hall. We have a ceremony at 9 o'clock, flag raising, so anyone and everyone is invited to come this morning. So make sure that you, if you could take time out from your job, or if you're at home, come down to City Hall and participate. 9 a.m. this morning.
Yeah, great thing. So I'm glad the city recognizes that, and none of us have forgotten, I'm sure. So, on a better note, heck of a scallop year, huh?
Amazing. It's never been this good, I think, in my entire life.
No.
We had to make sure that if we had to work at night or anytime it was dark, we had to leave some time available to get scallops this year, because I've never been where we limited out every single time that we went, and in short order.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, and true to form, we made several trips over there with our wives and good friends, and just had a tremendous time. And it was, the count this year was supposed to be 66, which, I kind of balked at, but, I believe it. And we talked to people who parked along the side of the road and walked. We actually found an area one day where we walked instead of putting the boats in, and picked them up. And for the most part, the meat was pretty good size.
It was. It was amazing. But one of the strange things, though, that we had found an area that we went to one day that we went, it was the meat was pretty poor.
Yeah.
And 2 days later, we go back to the same particular place, general area, and the meat was substantial. I mean, it was
Well,
so
would you
much.
say we were 100, 150 yards from where we picked those up?
Probably, and the tides were not that much different, and so I'm not sure why in a particular area you would have some that were mediocre when it comes, start talking about mediocre, even though you're finding them like Easter eggs. Then all of a sudden you're going, well, I hope the meat's fat, and I hope, so we would say that we were finding selects.
That's
If
true.
you remember the ones that were bigger, because you want to leave them. But my understanding is, you're only supposed to get 2 gallons per person and all that, but they only live 12 to 15 months.
I've heard anywhere from 12 months to 24 months or 18 months, probably more. And but I will, applaud the efforts that have been made by the FWC, by the state in these scallop roundups and having closed areas where they put those scallops so they can
Populate.
they have to be, so they can populate. They have to be within a certain range of each other when they let the eggs out or whatever it is. Don't let me get too technical for you guys this morning. Anyway, but however they do it, last year we had a short season of 2 weeks, and scallops were good. And as you might expect, there were some big scallops over there, and we did make a couple of trips then and pick some up with our buddy Carl Anderson, who is kind of like a bird dog. I think he can smell scallops.
Andrews.
Yeah, Carl Andrews. Yeah, that's what I said. But I think he can smell scallops. So
He can.
But anyway, what he said was important. And we started cleaning them kind of on the boat. One big thing is when you get home, you don't have all that to do after a long drive or anything, but they were plentiful, and so we culled a lot of them. If you started and they were small and the meat wasn't good, we put a lot of those scallops back, because when it's plentiful like that, you can go out and try to find the bigger ones, but you have to clean some. Just like I said, 100 yards apart. One day they were small. We did a lot of culling trying to upgrade, but the next day 100 yards away, the shells were not that much bigger. Right. But big thumb-sized meat. So that's another advantage of cleaning them, on the boat or in the water and putting those shells back in the water like they said. So we got some pictures to show you, some ways that they were cooked and the way we enjoyed them. So we're going to go ahead and take this break, come right back. Hey, welcome back. Greg mentioned something earlier that we want to expand on a little bit, and that's limits. It's 2 gallons unshucked per person, and you need to know that a 5-gallon bucket is not all the way to the top, okay, and humped over. That's more than 5 gallons. So if you need to mark it, if you have to take a gallon jug, pour water in there, mark it, whatever, or cleaned, it's how many?
A pint.
A pint.
Per person.
All right.
No more than 5 pints per boat.
Yeah.
And no more than 10 gallons in the shell per boat.
Yeah, regardless of how many people.
Right.
All right. So if it's 2 gallons up to 10. If you have 15 people on the boat, you can still only get 10 gallons. And we have Greg does Tupperware that brings out there that, well, it's not Tupperware anymore, is it? It might be. But anyway, that's been carefully measured and marked for when we do clean them on the boat. And, first of all, do what the law says, okay? There's enough out there for everybody, and even when it's short, but, there's a reason there are limits. And you have some information about some of that?
Yeah, we had lunch with some law enforcement people yesterday, and they were sharing a few stories. And there are some pretty inflexible people that work with the FWC, and there are some that seem to be more flexible. But if you stay within the law, you don't have to worry about the flexibility.
That's right.
5 gallons is 5 gallons, and if you come in and your bucket is heaped you haven't shook it down, and that's over 5 gallons.
Pounded it.
You know, I mean, and so there are people that have gotten tickets, and there's been some, and I think they've been fining people like $150. They can fine them up to $550, but generally it's $150. Or you know, if you're a habitual abuser, just like anything else, I'm sure that they're not going to be as lenient. But the law is the law, and you know, we've got these limits. You can't keep 3 snapper, you can keep 2. You know, and you can keep 5 gallons or 2 gallons of scallops, you know, for a person, and that's what the limit is. And so you got to stay within it. And if you've got a bucket, a lot of these paint buckets, you know, they've got a lip about that high above. And that's, most of them are 6 gallons. FWC has a red bucket. Believe me, that one's been measured, tried, and tested.
It is 5
It's 5 gallons.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you got to get on the angle and look at it, that's where you need to be. And if you have to stay a little bit on the safe side, you know, don't go over. Stay under. And just comply with the laws, because we're just lucky this year. I mean, how many times have people been able to go out there in years past? They couldn't even get a gallon.
The 3 or 4 years prior to last year.
Oh, Lord. It was very, very bad.
All that freshwater intrusion and other things, you just couldn't find one.
And you can't make up for it. And you can't use the rule, well, I'm not going tomorrow, so I'm going to get part of tomorrow's limit. Sorry. That doesn't fly. It's when you're out there, stay within the law. There's no sense in gaming those things or taking a chance, or because it's, you know, it's not safe, and especially if you've got kids with you, you know. And believe me, and other things too, where there was some people that got busted out there, where 2 guys were out there getting their scallops. They walk up to the shoreline, they hand the bucket to a lady who's on the shoreline with the kids, and then she takes over there and puts it in the truck. Well, FWC was watching them, and so when they came over and busted them, said, "Oh, we've only got 10 gallons." And they said, "Well, wait a second. You know, there's 5 of you, there's 3 of you, and you're sitting on the shore. You're not scalloping. You don't count." Okay? The 2 people that are out there in the water are, and they actually had 15 gallons. So they were way over the limit anyway, and only 2 out of the 5 was scalloping. There has to be 5 people scalloping. I think the age.
6. Look it up, but is it not 6?
6 or 9 years old? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, you got to make sure on that. But just comply with the law.
Don't cheat.
Have fun, because there's a lot of people that are out there, and you know, they got binoculars and they're watching and they're trying to protect it, and they're trying to make sure that for next year that it's good, and that, you know, the more people abuse something, the more chance it's going to be that you'll have a shorter season next year, or you know, their count won't be as good and stuff. And so we're really spoiled this year. I mean, I can't put it any other way. I am totally spoiled.
I never remembered that well.
Never. And we used to go out and get all we wanted, you know, when I was in high school and all that stuff. But it has been here. Oh yeah, here. But St. Joe was always phenomenal. But just, you know, comply with the laws. I mean, they're in place. You got to do that, and I know it's tough.
Don't shuck them and hide the little bags around the boat, because I promise you these guys know where to look for them. Now, I'm not saying that personally, but they know where to look for them. You know, it doesn't work. No. And it's a daily limit. If you go out that morning and get your limit, don't go back out that afternoon, you know, because somebody's liable to be watching, just like those guys on the shore. But it's a daily limit, you know. Enjoy your time, clean the scallops, have a good time. Right. And also, they're not just looking for scallops, and I'm big on this. They're gonna check your boats. They're gonna check your licenses. You know, one of the biggest things on there, and you can go to the Coast Guard website and find out what kind of equipment you need on your boat. And I think one of the first break points is 16 feet, but there are laws out there about what you're supposed to have. And over 16 feet, you know, you have to have flares. Well, you know what? Those flares only last 2 or 3 years, so they expire. But, you know, fire extinguishers, they also expire. So, you know, these guys are not taking advantage, but these guys are, when they're over there when there's so many people checking people, they're checking your boats for your throwables, for your safety equipment and all that stuff. And it's important, and that's part of the law. If you're supposed to have it, there's a reason for it. So it's easy enough. Go to the U.S. Coast Guard and find out what safety equipment, communications equipment is required for your boat. Okay, I mean that's their job. If they don't check you, you're not going to be checked. Okay, and it's like anything else. You never need that stuff till you really need it. Mm-hmm. And finding out that those flares don't work, finding out that your fire extinguisher doesn't work at the worst possible time is never going to create a good outcome. So, I applaud those guys. And like Greg said, the limit's the limit, and having that stuff on your boat, it's like doing 66 miles an hour. If a highway patrolman pulls you for that in a 65 mile an hour zone, he can write you a ticket. Some of them going to give you 5 miles either way, maybe, but the law is 65. So, these guys are out here for your protection, and they're trying to protect our rights. So I fully support the FWC in their efforts, and, have what you're supposed to have. Don't cheat, and you'll have a great time on the water. Also be safe. All right, we're going to take this quick break, come back with some pictures, and finish up on our scallop season. All right, welcome back. As usual, behind the scenes, it gets really funny around here. But we were talking about one more thing as far as safety equipment. Your throwable cushion, when you're required to have it, it has to be out and available, okay? It can't be somewhere tucked up under 14 different bags and that kind of thing, because it's like Greg and I were talking about, they're writing tickets for that because it took one guy 4 or 5 minutes to find it, and you can drown in a lot less than that. Mm-hmm. So that throwable has to be out and available. Find a place on your boat and put it, or where somebody can sit on it. It's not going to be blown out. Again, safety reasons. But so Jeff, let's cue up some pictures here. Like I know what I'm talking about technically, but this first one is from the first day. That's some scallops we picked up, and you notice that that's quite a bit below the top of the bucket, just in case anybody's watching. The next picture is Donna, her college roommate, Becky Hall from Weewaw, and then the lovely Mrs. Chester, who went with us that day. That was opening day, as a matter of fact, and they're all having a good time. I think this was the end result for that day. And here, as with Steinhatchee and up in the mountains, we don't eat very well. Mm-hmm. So that was the menu for the first night. That actually Billy Perry was manning the grill at that point. Now here's something interesting that Donna does, and it's a great idea. But you take some of those bigger scallops and leave the scallops attached. We put these, put a little bit of butter and garlic or whatever your favorite is, and we did these on the grill. And they were done as an appetizer that night for all that meat we were cooking, and they're fantastic that way. Donna's been doing them that way for years, and they are really good on the half shell. But Greg, Donna, and Lynn, again with the with the limit. I don't think I was there, was I?
No, we didn't need you.
Yeah, they need me. That's true. That's true. And this is some of our family. This is Dalton, his girlfriend, Courtney, and Donna and I on a limit that we got when, we have the rare opportunity to stay down at Winston's for a week with our family. That's Courtney and Donna with that same group. And this is one I love. This is our family, our sons, grandsons, Courtney, daughter-in-law, Jennifer, and we just had a wonderful time. All the kids were involved in it. Even little Blakely there was out there swimming around. So, that's what it's about right there. And we just had a wonderful time. And then another day that Greg, Lynn, Donna, and I got to go with a nice limit there. So that's Donna and me, and we're starting to clean them on the boat. You've got the containers there that are marked, and there's Greg. when we started adopting staying on the boat and cleaning them, which I think is really the best way to do it. It's a lot of fun. So,
except when the sharks are hanging out.
yeah, I did. You attracted some last time, did you? In deeper water, closer to the pass. Not to give anything away too much, but you know, as usual, we always fry some, but you saute some and do.
I made them in fettuccine.
Yeah.
Made them in scampi. Made them in etouffee. So, wow. I mean, you know, shrimp's great, but scallops are absolutely amazing. And I think one thing you need to share too with people, if they do get them and they freeze them, what we've been told and what we've been doing is you clean them. You don't totally rinse all of the stuff off of them. You freeze them like you just took them out of the shell, even if they got a little bit of the goop on them, you know, from the guts and stuff. And then, you know, you freeze them, you don't have to put them in water or anything. When you go to eat them, take them out, then you clean them. And that's been very successful for us. And for everybody that I've talked to, because people say, "Oh well, do I put them in water? You know, how do you keep
milk
them? Or milk?" Somebody told me that. I thought, you just take them out of the shell, and even if there's some stuff on them, still just freeze your whatever your amount is that you want for a meal, and then thaw them out, clean them real good, and then you can. Now I've made them in ceviche.
I was about to mention that.
After they've been frozen, and they were still luscious.
Real quick, what's a ceviche? Can you?
All right, my ceviche recipe is lime juice, garlic, olive oil, red onion, jalapeno pepper, cilantro, and salt and pepper. Pretty simple. It's
the lime juice cooks the scallops. There's no cooking required.
Absolutely.
How long in the refrigerator?
Well, you know, they say you can leave them up 2 or 3 hours, but the next day, and they continue to get better. And I've had them in the refrigerator as much as a week.
Oh yeah.
And
they don't last
that long. But it is absolutely an amazing way to make them. It's good to make with shrimp or.
You get those big Doritos, those lime chips.
Wow.
I had it first time 3 or 4 years ago. That's one of my favorite ways to eat them, and it's fantastic. So anyway, we appreciate you joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Be safe on the water. Remember today's 9/11. Say a prayer for everybody involved. God bless you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.